Today, we are diving deep into a phenomenon whose growth curve just, well, it makes everything before it looks slow. Think about this. By July 2025, ChatGPT had hit 700 million users.
Wow.
That's roughly 10% of the world's adult population in just over 2 years. Our sources are calling this speed of global diffusion completely unprecedented.
That's a staggering number, absolutely. But, the adoption rate is just the start, isn't it? When something scales that fast, the real question becomes, how are people using it?
Exactly.
We're talking about, 18 billion messages sent every single week? That's the scale. And our mission today is really to peel back the layers on that massive data set.
Right. And we're going beyond the usual surveys, the self-reported stuff that, dominated the early discussions.
Yeah.
We've got access to this really groundbreaking economic research paper. They use privacy-preserving internal data. So the researchers could actually classify what people were typing through mid-2025 without seeing the private content itself.
And this is the crucial part, the methodology. It gives the findings real weight. They used sophisticated LLM-based classifiers and the secure data clean room protocol.
Okay.
Think of it like a high-tech vault. It let the automated systems classify every message, intent, topic, work-related or not, but no human researcher ever saw the actual user messages.
So we're looking directly at behavior, not just what people say they do.
Precisely. Okay, let's unpack this.
Let's start with the big question the paper tackled. Is this thing mainly a work productivity tool, or is its biggest value somewhere else entirely? What did the data actually show on work versus non-work use?
Well, it pretty much flips the script on those early economic models completely. When generative AI first landed, all the talk was workplace impact, right? Drafting emails, coding, customer service.
Yeah, that was the narrative.
But the data showed that even back in June 2024, the split was nearly even. 47% work messages, 53% non-work. Already leaning personal.
And then the non-work side just took off.
Exploded is the right word. By June 2025, get this, non-work messages soared to over 70% of all consumer ChatGPT messages.
70%.
Yeah. I mean, both types grew. Work and non-work grew continuously. But non-work just grew much, much faster over that year.
Okay, so what does that mean economically if everyone's focused on workplace stuff?
It means the implications are huge, potentially bigger outside the traditional economy. Most analysis focuses on, GDP, workplace productivity. But this data suggests the impact on activity outside work.
I mean, like household chores.
Well, what economists call home production. And yeah, it's way more than chores. It's all that unpaid cognitive work that keeps life running. Meal planning, managing finances, researching schools, figuring out how to fix stuff, organizing schedules. It's the mental load of daily life.
Right. Makes sense.
And our sources estimate the consumer surplus, that's like the hidden value users felt they bought, above any cost was at least $97 billion in 2024 in the U.S. alone.
$97 billion. Just from that invisible value.
In 1 year, in one country. It's an incredible amount of value being created, essentially, in the home sphere.
That is massive. It really suggests we might have been looking at this tool through, well, maybe the wrong economic lens initially. It's this huge personal life improvement engine, not just an employee bot.
Exactly.
And you mentioned this wasn't just new people signing up for fun, right? The shift came from existing users, too.
Yeah, that's a key point in the paper. This decrease in the share of work messages wasn't just new users having different habits. The early adopters, the existing cohorts, they actually changed their usage patterns over time. They kept finding new non-work things to use it for. Which really speaks to the tool's flexibility, doesn't it? It adapts to your life, not just your job.
Okay, so if only about 30% is work-related now, let's drill into that massive 70% non-work bubble. What are these 700 million users actually asking it?
The researchers grouped usage into 7 main topics, and nearly 80% of everything falls into just 3 buckets.
80% in 3 categories. What are they?
Practical guidance, seeking information, and writing. And practical guidance is the biggest single chunk, about 29% of all usage.
Okay, practical guidance versus seeking information. What's the difference there?
It's a really insightful distinction they make. Seeking information, or SI, is basically asking for a specific fact. When was the Battle of Hastings? Or what are the marathon qualifying times for my age group?
Got it. Stuff with one right answer, mostly.
Right. Same info for everyone. But practical guidance, PG, that's customized. That's where you ask for, say, a workout plan for your knee injury using the equipment you have.
Or how to fix my specific leaky faucet with the tools in my garage.
Exactly. It's personal, actionable advice or content generation, tailored.
Okay, and the third one was writing.
Yeah, and what's fascinating here is how people are using the writing function. We might think, oh, they're asking it to write essays or novels from scratch.
Right, the sort of AI author idea.
But the data shows something different. About 2/3 of all writing-related messages involve modifying text the user provides.
Modifying. Like editing?
Editing, critiquing, summarizing, translating, taking existing text and making it better or different. Not so much creating brand new stuff from a blank page.
Huh. So that raises a big question, doesn't it? Are people using it more like a superpowered editor or communications coach than a ghostwriter?
The data certainly points that way. It suggests the most valuable skill users are offloading right now isn't necessarily creation, but refinement.
Which is a critical skill. And historically, getting good editing or feedback is expensive or hard to come by.
Precisely. It's like the ultimate copy editor we never had. And even though writing makes up 40% of work-related tasks, even there, the focus is heavily on polish and modification.
Okay, what about the things people aren't using it for much? I found the low scores just as interesting because they clash with some common narratives.
Oh, yeah. Like what?
Like programming. We hear constantly about AI coding assistants, but computer programming was only 4.2% of messages in this consumer sample.
Only 4.2%. Wow, I find that genuinely surprising.
Me too.
Because, yeah, the story for years has been AI as the ultimate coder's helper. And we do see higher numbers in studies looking at maybe more technical models like Claude.
So what does this suggest? Maybe the tool wasn't quite there for serious coding yet? Or maybe the market for casual coding help is smaller than we thought?
It definitely throws some cold water on the AI takes all coding jobs idea, at least for now. It seems the primary use for the masses isn't coding.
And the other low one, companionship, all the talk about AI friends.
Right. Loneliness solutions.
But the self-expression category that includes relationships and personal reflection at just 1.9% and games or role play at a tiny 0.4%, it's almost nothing in the grand scheme of things.
Vanishingly small share, yeah. It suggests users are overwhelmingly turning to it for utility, for practical help, not for, emotional connection or friendship.
Which again contradicts some of those wilder external estimates you sometimes see. This direct data feels much more grounded.
Absolutely. But one high score we shouldn't gloss over within those categories is education. Tutoring, or teaching specifically, was 10.2% of all messages.
10% just for tutoring.
And it made up 36%, over a third of all those practical guidance messages we talked about. So personalized learning is definitely a major recognized use case here.
Okay, so we know what they're talking about. Let's dig a bit deeper into why, the intent behind the messages. The researchers had 3 categories, right? Asking, doing, and expressing.
That's right. Asking is basically seeking info or advice to make a decision. Doing is about producing an output, completing a task like writing that email or code. And expressing is, well, sharing views or feelings, which we saw was tiny.
So what's the overall split between asking and doing?
It's pretty close overall. 49% asking, 40% doing, which makes sense given how big practical guidance and seeking information were in the topics.
Okay, but here's where it gets interesting with the quality ratings, right?
Yeah, this is key. Over the year, they studied asking messages actually grew faster than doing messages.
Faster growth for asking.
And crucially, asking messages were consistently rated as higher quality by the automated systems measuring user satisfaction. Good interactions for asking apparently grew 4 times faster than bad ones.
4 times faster. So users are finding it really valuable when they use it to ask questions, to get advice.
It seems so. That satisfaction signal suggests people are finding real, profound value when they use the AI more like a co-pilot or an advisor, especially in that early discovery or decision-making phase.
But I wonder, isn't asking often just the first step before doing something? Like if it helps me research faster, that still lets me do more complex things overall. Does the study capture that?
It acknowledges that link, yeah. The distinction is still useful, though, for figuring out the specific bottleneck the AI is solving at that moment. Is it the research or the execution?
Okay.
And interestingly, when you look just at work-related messages, the balance actually flips.
It flips. How so?
Work messages skew towards output, 56% doing versus only 35% asking.
More doing at work.
Yeah, and nearly 35% of all work messages were specifically doing messages related to writing, drafting documents, emails, that kind of thing.
So big picture.
Yeah.
At work, we lean towards using it to execute tasks, But at home, we lean more towards using it to help us decide what to do.
That seems to be the pattern, and that distinction is crucial economically. It implies we should value the time saved in decision support just as much as time saved in task execution.
Especially for knowledge workers.
Exactly. For professionals, the big economic value likely comes from improving the quality and speed of decisions in those knowledge-heavy jobs. It fits that co-pilot model enhancing human thinking much better than just pure automation.
Okay, this is fascinating. Now, who is actually driving all this growth? This is where it gets really interesting for me. Let's talk demographics. Gender first.
Yeah, the gender story is quite dramatic. Early on, the adoption was heavily skewed male. Around 80% of active users had typically masculine first names in the beginning.
80%.
But that gap narrowed incredibly quickly. By June 2025, it was almost at parity, about 48% typically masculine names.
Wow, from 80% down close to 50% in just, 2 years? That's not just growth. That's a fundamental shift in who is adopting it.
It really is. It strongly suggests that women found equally compelling uses for it, maybe especially driven by that surge in non-work home production applications we talked about.
Makes sense. What about age?
Younger generations are definitely leading the charge. Nearly half, 46% of all adult messages were sent by users under the age of 26.
46% under 26, that's huge.
And looking globally, the adoption grew disproportionately faster in low and middle income countries over the past year.
Really? Not just the wealthiest countries.
No, specifically countries in that $10,000 to $40,000 GDP per capita range showed faster growth. It suggests diffusion is happening rapidly beyond just the initial high-income nations.
Okay, so how does usage differ among, say, highly educated professionals? Are they using it just like everyone else or differently?
They use it differently, and significantly more for work. The data shows that users with graduate degrees and those in highly paid professional jobs, think management, computer fields, they are substantially more likely to use ChatGPT for work tasks compared to the average user.
Okay, more work usage.
Right.
But how are they using it for work? Is it asking or doing?
That's the interesting part. Within their work usage, these highly educated professionals are also more likely to use the tool for asking for decision support rather than for doing the pure task output, more so than people in non-professional jobs.
So that reinforces the co-pilot idea again. The higher up the cognitive skill ladder you go, the more you use it as an advisor, not just a typist.
Precisely. It seems the value scales with the complexity of the decisions being supported. And we can see this mirrored in the occupational data, too. The researchers used Bonnet classifications, that's the standard U.S. job categorization system.
Right.
And it showed remarkable similarity in how people used it across very different high-value jobs. Management, STEM, even sales.
Similar usage across different fields. What was the common thread?
The most common work activities across the board were focused on getting information and making decision-solving problems.
So directly supporting those core knowledge work tasks.
Exactly. The AI seems to be acting like a turbocharger for those cognitive analytical parts of the job, which is where the real leverage is for knowledge workers.
Okay, so let's try and wrap this up. We've dug into this incredible privacy-preserving data set. What are the main takeaways? It feels like there are two huge insights here that really change the conversation.
I think so, too.
First, that non-work usage is just massive, 70% and growing. It's just enormous welfare gains, huge consumer surplus, mostly focused on tackling that invisible labor of home production.
Definitely point number one. And point number two relates to work. At work, its primary value seems to be as an advisor, a research assistant, that asking and decision support role we talked about. It's not just about automating tasks.
Right. More co-pilot than autopilot for many professionals.
Although, let's not forget that refinement nugget within writing. While decision support is huge, the fact that 2/3 of writing messages are editing, critiquing, or summarizing existing text, that's really telling.
Yeah.
It suggests the immediate, most widespread skill people are offloading isn't pure creation from scratch, but rather refinement, polishing, communicating more effectively.
And that skill refinement is so critical. It's what turns ideas into impact. And like we said, it's historically been a bottleneck or expensive to get help with.
Exactly. So considering that, and considering the rapid global growth especially, that accelerating adoption in low and middle income countries, plus the high satisfaction users report for asking type interactions, it leaves us with a final provocative thought for you, the listener.
Okay, what is it?
If generative AI continues to get better at providing decision support and at helping people refine their communication across all languages and skill levels, how might this accelerating adoption in developing economies start to reshape global global economic development, maybe global opportunities, over the next, say, 5 years. The data shows the potential is there for massive, widespread transformation, perhaps in places we weren't initially looking.